Let's start with House of the Dragon, and I do have to say spoiler alert here. I'll add the spoiler in post, but spoiler alert, guys, we're talking about House of the Dragon. Just heads up. Um, let's talk about the episode. So the episode we saw this weekend was episode 8 or 9. I think it was episode 9 of House of the Dragon. King Viserys has died, and immediately the King's Council is called because they have to talk about what to do next. So of course these motherfuckers had never intended for Rhaenyra to be to ascend the throne, and I'm actually kind of shocked at how many people in that council were against it. I really thought she had more like backup on that council. Like Lord Beesbury was the only one, and he paid the price. Also, god damn it, Kristen Cole gets away with so much, man. He's murdered in cold blood at a wedding, a guy, and then he murdered again here. Like he like said, "Sit down, Lord Beesbury," and like he like smashed his head. He smashed a little ball inside his fucking head and killed him. Like what the fuck? How are we letting Kristen Cole get away with all this shit? How are we letting this happen? It makes no sense. It makes no fucking sense. And we're so tired of him too. I love how the internet is just like coming for Kristen Cole. Like they're saying, like, man, they have not hated a character this much since motherfucking Joffrey. I don't know if I can put Kristen Cole's hate for me, like me disliking him. I don't know if I can say he's Joffrey levels, because Joffrey was pretty fucking bad. He was pretty goddamn evil. So I don't know if I would put him up on Joffrey levels, but I really am very much tired of him. Also, fun fact, apparently Kristen Cole is the only character in the show that's been in every single episode. So that was interesting. Um, I bet Sir Westerly's like okay. So while I watched this, I like predicted that Sir Westerly was going to be the one that defected, and got because so basically, so I read up on I didn't read the book because I'm a lazy bitch, but I read the wiki on the Dance of the Dragon, so I actually know everything that's going to happen, and apparently there is a guard, a king's guard that was the one that took the crown, the crown that King Viserys had, and escaped King's Landing and brought it to Rhaenyra and defected. And he was like pretty much the first to pledge for Rhaenyra, in the Dance of the Dragons. And I thought it was gonna be Sir Westerling, but he kind of just left the episode. Sir Westerling is played by Graham McTavish, which we've seen him in Outlander. He played Dougal in Outlander in the first 2 seasons, and he was a crowd favorite 100%. And he died in the first 2 seasons. Spoiler alert. So I was really excited to see him in this show, but I'm not gonna lie, he's been extremely underutilized so far. We've really barely seen him. The one time we did kind of see him in action was when like Kristen Cole was about to like defy orders, and he was just like, "Hey man, don't you be doing that, Kristen," but then didn't actually stop him from doing it. And that actually happened again in this episode when Kristen Cole like was defying his orders as the Lord Commander. Like it, I don't know why they're letting Kristen Cole get away with so much. Just it's like bothering the fuck out of me. Like what the fuck? But Sir Westerling basically a witness that they were gonna not crown Rhaenyra and that they were also planning on killing her and her family. And he resigned. He said, man, I'm the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, and if there's no king, I have no place here." So I don't really know what's gonna happen with him. I don't know if he's gonna defect to Rhaenyra or what, but I hope he does because I like him and I hope he sticks around. I think he's a new character. I don't know that he's like an actual character from the book. I don't remember, but yeah, I'm really curious what's gonna happen. And then Rhaenys is the only member of like the Targaryen. I know that technically Aegon and Aemond and Helena are technically Targaryens because they're Viserys' son, but they're in the Greens. So I think Rhaenys is the only quote black of the House Black, the blacks, the blacks and the greens. I think she's the only one there. Everybody else already has returned to Dragonstone and Driftmark. So as a result, when they found out Viserys died, they didn't want anybody to know about it because as soon as the king dies, then you got a whole bunch of shit that's about to start happening. So they lock her in her room. She's pissed about it. And later on, Alicent tries to come to her and get her to turncoat Rhaenyra and back Aegon. on the throne instead. Which to oh man, it's such a badass thing. She replies like she basically says like, you claim to be to want power and to want and not want to be under the thumb of men, and yet you firmly stay there. Like it's something like all you care about is getting a nice window in your prison or something like that. She said it so much better than I said it, but it was so badass, and I was like, bitch, bitch. And it's true. Allison is like fighting so hard to get other men in power, whereas like Rhaenyra is just like, bitch, I'm in power. I'm the queen, ho. Like I just it's so interesting that it's that dynamic. Like and I loved how Allison kind of looked into herself. She's like, what the fuck am I doing? But then she convinces herself again, I guess, because like she's convinced that it's Viserys's will. I wonder if that'll ever come out. I wonder if it'll ever come out that Viserys was actually talking about Aegon, the prince that was promised. That's in like 200 years, which is Jon Snow. I don't know if that'll ever come out. It probably won't. So basically, the entire Dance of the Dragons is starts based on a misunderstanding. Which, I mean, doesn't every war start that way? Um, what else? So Aegon's missing, and they need to find Aegon because they have to crown him. And so there's these two twins named Eric and Eric. Okay, George R. Martin. I don't know about that, but whatever. And one twin is very much like the alpha and the other one's the beta. Like the beta Eric is the one that like is Aegon's like sworn Kingsguard and has been letting Aegon commit fucking atrocities for his entire fucking life. Like not that he can like stop him or anything, but he could like resign, like the kind of shit that Aegon do. Like they like suggested like that Aegon molested children and fathered children with molested children. Like he like Aegon is a bad guy, man. He's a really bad guy. And that beta Eric is the one, it was kind of just like letting it happen and like, being willfully ignorant. So his brother, Alpha Eric, like kind of like shadowed him a little bit. He's just like, you've been standing idly by all this time while this fucker was doing all of this shit. Like you're as bad as he is. And Alpha Eric is the one that's gonna that does defect. Alpha Eric, and this was actually I think a departure from the book, is that Alpha Eric is the one that defects and brings the crown to Rhaenyra and says, "I will not stand for this tyranny much longer." And he tries to actually like smuggle Rhaenys out of the city. But yeah, the Eric twins are gonna be interesting. Apparently, they have a very interesting fate in the show. I don't think they're gonna last very long in the show, but they have a very interesting fate. And honestly, it's like it calls back a little bit to the Clegane brothers, the Mountain and the Hound. Although like a really lukewarm version of that. Like that was a way more fucking exciting dynamic, and this one is just kind of starting. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Again, Kristen fucking sucks. And it seems like he's weirdly in love with Alicent. Like there was like an interaction between Kristen and Alicent where like she like gets close to him and says, "Oh man, for all you feel for me, be loyal to me." And I was like, that's weird. I don't know. Cause like remember, Kristen was like all up in Rhaenyra's shorts like a few episodes ago, and then he hated her because she didn't want to fucking give up her throne to marry his po ass. So now he thinks she's a C word. He called her a C word. But now he's like in love with Alicent. His whole arc is just fucking weird. His whole arc is fucking weird. Why he's evil, like why he's such a dick now because he was like nice before, and his weird like devotion to Alicent. Is it romantic? Is it just like, does he just like feel guilty? Like it used to be with Kristen that he like felt like a sense of honor in being a Kingsguard, and I guess after he like broke his vow of chastity, maybe that just made him into an evil bitch. I don't know. I don't fucking know what's going on with Kristen Cole, but I kind of am very tired of him. Unfortunately, that character is gonna stick around for a long time, guys. So we're gonna just have to keep hating him for a while. He does have a very satisfying end, but I think it's gonna be in like season 3. Ugh. I sort of kind of like still like Aemond a little bit. I have been so conflicted with Aemond, man, ever since like he was introduced. I was like, because I really am very drawn to him because he's like an underdog. Everybody would just shit on him because he was like, he didn't have a dragon yet, and he's always trying to prove himself. For some reason, I'm like really drawn to that. I'm like, oh man, I want to root for Aemond, but he's such a little bitch. He's such a bastard. He's such a bastard. I do agree that, like, in terms of who should be king, I get that it's Aegon's birthright, but like, let's be real, Aemond 100%. If you have to choose between the two of those people to be king, you really should be choosing Aemond. And then it's funny, but the funny thing to me is that they're trying to like hide this under a veil of precedent and tradition. And if they would have done that, then they would just confirm Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra was the declared heir to Viserys. Like they really, it reminds me a lot of Handmaid's Tale, actually. The fact that like the idea that man will come up with these traditions and these bylaws and these processes with like the basis of like some divine purpose. Like this is what it needs to be done because this is a tradition, when it's always veiled in self-preservation. It's always veiled in selfish motives. They want to put Aemon on the throne, or Aegon on the throne, so they can fucking control him because he's a fucking idiot. That is why they want to put Aegon on the throne. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's Viserys' firstborn. They just call it that to give it legitimacy, but that is not why. You know, if they put Aemon on the throne, who is undeniably the better king, like they can't control Aemon because he's actually smart. He actually, that's Otto Hightower's whole thing, is he wants to control the throne. He can never get it himself, but he can control it because that's his grandson, and his grandson's a fucking dipshit. So it's like, it's so frustrating. Like between those two, Aemon 100% should be on the throne. I think Rhaenyra should be on the throne, but if I can't have Rhaenyra, I would choose Aemon. But alas, here we are. I love that Mysaria glowed the fuck up into a boss ass bitch. I don't know a lot about her character. I just know that like in the beginning of the series, she was like shit with Daemon. She was Daemon's lover. And like Daemon was like trying to like marry her and shit. And she's just like, oh no, I'm not gonna be used. I'm not gonna be a pawn. No, 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 Daemon. And that's where we like saw her last. And like she like kind of like built a dynasty within Flea Bottom as like their matron, as like the queen of Flea Bottom a little bit, fighting for the poorest of King's Landing. I really like that. I would like to see more of her. I'm afraid though that Otto Hightower is gonna fuck her over, because the idea is that she's the one that like helped him find Aegon. And she said in return, you're gonna fucking help us here. Like you're gonna close down. Apparently, like there's like a fucking like underground fighting ring that is like where people in Flea Bottom are making children fight to the death and shit, like filing down their teeth and growing their nails out so they can kill each other, and also like molesting kids and stuff. Like it's really really fucked up shit happening in Flea Bottom, and like the Gold Cloaks would just let it happen, right? So she basically demanded from Otto Hightower, if I give you Aegon right now, you will remember that it's me that put your king on the throne, and you're going to help us. You're going to stop this shit from happening, and you're gonna fucking listen to us. So I'm really hoping he actually does do that. I hope he doesn't like fucking walk back on that. It kind of, I don't know, it's Game of Thrones, we'll fucking see. But it was really nice to see Mysaria glow up like that. And yeah, so let's talk about Alicent's plans. So I'm wondering how all of this would have turned out if she would have just went with her dad's plans. Alicent's dad's plan was the kind of the same, to put Aegon on the throne, but her like Otto wanted to like just straight up kill all of Rhaenyra, his family, and her kids. He wanted to just like murder them all so that they're just off the face of the earth so we can just move on. And to Alicent's credit, she's a little more like, empathetic than that. So she's thinking, no, I want to give Rhaenyra some terms, some very fair, generous terms for her to accept so that we can go on, which is nice in theory, but very, very naive, because Rhaenyra is like, no, bitch, that's my throne. No. And that's what starts the Dance of the Dragons. But if I wonder, like, if it would have gone, if they would have just let Otto's plan happen, like it would have prevented everything. I counted like no less than 5 moments in this episode that would have totally prevented the Dance of the Dragons from happening. 5 moments, whole moments, and this was one of them, man. And like if she, I don't know what the fuck she was thinking. I mean, I get it, that's your childhood friend, but I'm like, why are you just now getting a conscience? Like just a couple episodes ago, you wanted to like pluck out her son's eyeball as revenge. Like, why are you just now getting a damn conscience? Also, ew at Laris jerking it to her feet. That was so weird. That was so that she trades information with Laris so he can look at her feet and get sexual gratification off of her feet. That's so fucking weird, man. And we got no indication prior to this episode that they had any dynamic like that. That was just so out of left field. And then he starts jerking it, and I was like, oh, that's weird. That was very fucking weird. I also wonder why seeing Viserys's dagger, you know, the dagger that we later see kill the Night King in Game of Thrones, though that's made out of Valyrian steel. I wonder why that convinces Aegon that his mom is telling the truth about. So basically, his mom, she's trying to convince Aegon, like, no, your dad wanted you to be king. He told me in this dying breath, like, that I want Aegon to be king. And of course, no one fucking believes her. But then, and he doesn't either. And then she shows him the dagger. For some reason, that like convinces him, and I don't understand why that convinced him. If anybody else knows, let me know in the comments, because I don't understand why that convinced him. But after that moment, he's convinced, and then they crown him, and he becomes king of King's Landing. He's wearing the crown that his great grandfather, maybe great great uncle, Jaehaerys Targaryen, the one that was the king before Viserys. He's wearing his black crown, which is, he's the conqueror, right? Jaehaerys the conqueror. But yeah, interestingly, Eric, Alpha Eric is trying to smuggle Rhaenys out of the city, and they get separated. But then Rhaenys is like wanting her fucking dragon. Like, our Eric's just like, girl, we can't take your dragon. And Rhaenys is just like, bitch, I'm taking my dragon. So I love it. During the coronation ceremony, Rhaenys goes downstairs to the dragon pit and goes to get her dragon Melees and busts up through the fucking floor, killing like hundreds of people. This is another moment that could have fucking prevented the entire Dance of the Dragons. She had her dragon, his nose pointed right at that family, right at Alicent, Otto, Aegon, Helena, Aemond, all of them hoes, all of them. Kristen Cole was there too. She had her dragon pointed right at them. She could have just said, Dracarys, and they would have all died, and we would have totally fucking prevented this entire series from happening. But no, Rhaenys has to go, it's not my fight. It's not, this ain't my war. And now everybody's gonna die. So she could have fucking done something. The whole thing could have been fucking ended, if not for that moment. But c'est la vie. Anyway, that episode rocked. That episode was awesome. Next episode is the season finale. It is going to end in tragedy, guys. I'm not going to tell you any more than that, but just know something real fucking sad's going to happen. Some real epic shit's going to happen. I want to say it's like probably the longest episode of the season so far. And then we're not going to get more until 2024. That sucks. That should be unacceptable. Unacceptable for us to have to wait an entire year and a half to fucking get new episodes. Unacceptable, but that's c'est la vie. Take as long as y'all need to make the show great. This is a really, really great start to the show. I would say this was way more exciting than season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like, in terms of like how good it is, I gotta watch season 1 of Game of Thrones again, but I mean, it was a lot more boring because it was, you know, it's the nature of the show. Like, I think season 1 of Game of Thrones was a lot more boring. I loved it still, but it's the reason why a lot of people have a hard time getting into the show, because season 1 is real fucking slow. This season was not slow. This was a very, very good an exciting start to the series, and I think that people are going to have a lot easier time getting into this show as opposed to Game of Thrones. So that is House of the Dragon. Let's talk about Terrifier. So it's Halloween month. It's Halloween month, y'all. And I'm going to be watching some horror movies on your behalf, and let's talk about them. I watched Terrifier for the first time, and the reason for this is because the sequel just came out, and I saw some like article on Twitter saying that people, when they watched it, like they were like puking in their seats and shit. And I was like, come on, they said that about Paranormal Activity too. Come on. So clearly I was curious. I needed to see what was up. I will say just now, if the sequel is comparable to what we saw in the original movie, I could see it. I could see people puking from that. Let's talk about it. So the beginning of the movie was pretty fucking weird. It starts off with a like TV interview, a really horribly Compton TV interview. It's supposed to be on like a TV screen, but the audio is totally off. It's very clearly somebody like had a green screen TV and they just put it in there in post. It's super bad. The VFX in this game, in the show, the VFX in this movie were really bad. So I'm really glad they didn't rely too much on like CGI because it wasn't good. They really kind of went practical for just about the entire movie. A few parts here and there that were VFX, but for most of the movie it was practical, which was a win. I'm glad they did that. But it's basically there was like a newscast with a girl, a very severely deformed girl being interviewed, talking about an attack from an assailant named Art the Clown, which I don't know how she got his name. We'll get back to that. And then after the interview, the deformed girl murders the reporter. Never explained. Doesn't make sense at all. Just a shock factor. Because the way she murdered her was like she like stuck her finger in her eyeballs, and then it was like a really shocking. This whole movie is very shock factor, shock gore. That's this whole movie, and that was like the first little bit of it. Very much feels like a B movie. The B is to B movies. The acting is really bad. We open up. So basically when we go from that murder, she's like that crazy girl's like laughing maniacally, and we get kind of like an what is it is a flashback, but it's unclear that it's a flashback. We just go to another scene, and we see two girls. And the girls are dressed up as Halloween. It's Halloween, and they're dressed up and they're drunk. They are not good actors because they're not very good at acting drunk. They look like they've never been drunk in their life, like, or they've never observed a drunk person. They're just like, y'all are just being ridiculous. They encounter Art the Clown. Art the Clown sees them, and I guess is because he becomes fixated on them. Um, they're rightfully creeped out, so they decide to go get some pizza. Then one of the girls starts eating pizza in the weirdest way I've ever seen pizza being eaten. Like you guys know how to eat pizza. You take the triangle and you put the triangle in your mouth and you eat it. And she's just like pulling off pieces and eating it. Nobody eats pizza like that. That's chaotic neutral. No, that's chaotic evil. That's chaotic evil. That's a very chaotic evil way to eat pizza. Just ripping off pizzas and popping them in ripping off pieces of the pizza and popping them in your mouth. That already was a sin to me. That alone was a sin. Basically Art follows them into the pizza place, and the pizza owner is like berating him for creeping out the girls, and he's continuing to creep out the girls. He brings a big giant trash bag full of something with him and plops it out on the seat and just like stares at them. Then he goes to the bathroom for a while, and we see him get like violently thrown out of the store because of something gross he did in there, which we didn't know what it was at the time. And then later it's revealed he like took a huge shit and smeared his shit all over the walls in the bathroom. It was really gross. It was really gross. Like that, and no, that alone will make you gag, man. That's why I'm like not surprised. Like if the sequel is anything remotely like the fucking original movie, I'm not surprised motherfuckers were throwing up because that was fucking nasty. Basically the girls leave after that, so they're trying to go home. While the girls leave, the Art the Clown just like murders the hell out of the two guys working in the pizza shop. And to their credit, the VFX were very good when it comes to practical gory effects. Like that is very much like a 1980s thing. We really don't see gory effects being that's not true. We see them practical, but they're usually just squibs and blood and stuff. You don't normally see like visceral cuts and stuff. Usually when there's like a visceral cut, that's a visual effect. That's like CGI. But back in the 80s, we didn't have CGI, or we did have CGI, but it was not not even remotely, not even a little bit as advanced as it is today. So as a result, we relied on practical effects to achieve those things, very ultra realistic gore. And this movie kind of like paid homage to that. And being a B movie, it really could have been bad, but it was actually very, very, very good. Whoever they got to do the gore on that film was a very talented person because they did a really fucking good job. So the Art the Clown murders the fuck out of those two pizza guys. The girls get back to their car. They find their tires slashed. So one of the girls needs to go pee, so she goes to pee, and the other girl, that's kind of the mean girl, stays in the car and leaves the car unlocked for some reason. There's like a fake ass radio news report that is the fakest fucking news report you've ever heard in your life. It's literally some dude saying, all right, next up on the news, there's a killer clown on the loose, and there's two bodies that for some reason made it to the news already, even though they were just killed 5 minutes ago. Like, it was just such a It was so laughably bad. It was to the point where I'm like, I think this is on purpose. I think they're making it bad on purpose. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. So naturally, Art the clown comes into the car because she left it unlocked for some reason. And he fucking just kidnaps that chick. We'll see her later. Then Art the clown starts confronting the other chick that went to go pee. And that girl runs into a pest control guy who lets her into the building. Um, Art catches her a little bit and like actually no, he straight up catches her and he like cuts up her Achilles tendon like multiple times. He's just like digging a scalpel into her fucking like leg. But and then she walks away like it's fine. She's like not even limping. I'm like, it's just it's lazy. It's really lazy. Like he eviscerated her fucking leg and she's just like, la-di-da-di-da, I'm gonna run away. Oh, then there's another funny moment where like he's like chasing her and she goes and hides behind this like thing, but it was not, she didn't really try hard to conceal herself. He comes up and like is very much in her sight line. He can totally see her if he just turns his head slightly to the right, and then she throws a rock, and then he just like goes away. It was like a video game. Like you've seen that like a stealth video game where all you have to do is just throw a rock, and then the NPC that's like stalking you, just like changes his patrol and goes away. That's literally what happened. That was hilarious. More radio news sessions. That was terrible. Nobody was fucking buying that. Then this girl, she got captured. Um, Actually, she didn't get captured yet. She's running away from him. He's chasing her. She's running away from Arthur Clown. She's trying to get the attention of the pest control guy who's got headphones on. She's running towards him, and then she stops in a doorway, screaming at him, "Help! Help!" And I'm sitting here screaming at the TV. I'm like, "Bitch, why are you stopping? Keep running! Keep running at him and shake him! Don't run! He can't hear you. He's wearing headphones very clearly." She stopped there for like a fucking 30 seconds. That was 30 seconds, and then Arthur Clown fucking takes her and sticks her with a syringe and like fucking captures her. You dumb bitch! Like, oh, she's dumb. She's fucking dumb. So then she wakes up. She's like taped to a chair, and she looks over to the right. She sees that garbage bag he had earlier is full of various weapons, which I'm tripping now because that thing must have been like 300 pounds. They were like fucking crowbars, hammers, saws, guns in there, like all this heavy shit in there, swords, knives, everything. That thing had to be, and not to mention the like a fucking plastic trash bag. There's knives in there. How the fuck are those aren't cutting that? That's the strongest trash bag in the world. Those knives would have been cutting that hoe up. That is a strong ass fucking trash bag. Now, at this point in the movie was where I realized why people might be getting sick to their stomach watching a movie like this. Because the next thing that happens, we see her friend, the one that he captured out of the car, strung up upside down with her spread eagle, her arms and legs both spread out. And she's mostly nude. She's only wearing panties. He starts sawing her from in between her legs all the way down her body, and they show the whole thing. I was surprised how much they showed, because normally they'll just like cut away and then cut back and then you see the gore and you know what happened. No, they whatever VFX rig they used, and it was shaking too. It looked like her face. Obviously they didn't actually do this to the actor. It was definitely VFX, but like it was a very, very well done rig because it looked real. It looked realistic enough. Like they showed a lot. The last time I saw something that horribly graphic, and like on a realism level was from Bone Tomahawk, which they kind of did the exact same thing in Bone Tomahawk, but they didn't show nearly this much. And then Cannibal Holocaust is another one, which that was a really extreme. It's like a banned film. So those are two very fucked up movies. So this was up there in like some of the most fucked up shit I've ever seen in a movie. I'm not gonna lie. And it was a very long extended sequence. It was like a 90-second sequence of him just sawing this woman in half from the middle. So then the girl gets away. She undoes her tape while he's like just having a good old time sawing a woman in half. And then she manages to get a like 2x4. No, it wasn't a 2x4 this time. She took the chair leg when she took her arm up and she broke the tape, and she took the chair leg with her, and she hit him in the head with the chair leg. And he falls down. I think he either fell down or he was just disoriented. But then she doesn't double tap. That is the biggest fucking like That is the biggest gripe I've had with this movie, is that nobody's double tapping. Honey, if you are being chased and you get the upper hand and you like hurt them, hit them like 5 more times so they don't come back up. You need to make sure they're not going to keep chasing you. Like, come on. And this was a very recurring theme in this fucking movie. And then she even actually no, he did fall over. She hit him. He fell over. Then she picks up a big ass butcher knife and stabs him deep in the back and then runs away. Stab him like 8 more times, bitch. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? So she runs away to make sure he doesn't follow you. So she runs away. He's like lucid as fuck for having just got hit in the face and stabbed in the back. So he's just like fucking chasing her. At this point, I didn't realize, I don't think he's human. I didn't realize it at the time. I thought this was just really terrible acting. I think Art the Clown's not a human being. And I was very convinced at it towards the end of the movie. But at this point, I was like, how the fuck is this guy just like walking around after being stabbed in the back? Like, what the hell? He gets stabbed in the back, even earlier in the movie, he got stabbed in the side with a scalpel, hit in the face with a chair leg, stabbed in the back with a butcher knife, hit in the head with a 2x4 like 6 more times. That's what she does when they confront again. And then later in the movie, stabbed in the foot, hit in the head again, he shoots himself in the head, and he still survives by the end of the fucking movie. It is wild, dude. It's fucking wild. And she still, like, at least to her credit, she hit him in the head like 6 times with that fucking 2x4. But each time he didn't go down. Actually, no, yeah, he did go down. He did go down. See, that would have been a time to fucking run. But then he pulled out a gun and like shot her. Then he pulls out a gun and shoots her in the leg. She falls down, shoot her in the side. Then he shoots her in the face. She somehow still survives, but then he shoots her like fucking 20 times in the face. So like, yeah, she's fucking dead at that point. Well, there goes our protagonist. That's another fucking like recurring thing with this movie. You don't know who the fuck the protagonist is. I'm starting to think that Art the Clown was the protagonist because he just kept killing everybody. Every time there would be a new quote protagonist, he would just kill them too. So I think he's the protagonist. I think Art was the fucking protagonist. So her sister shows up because she texted her sister to help them because their car is slashed. The sister shows up to this dank ass warehouse building. It's creepy as hell. Texting and calling her sister, "Where the hell are you?" And then she gets a text on the phone saying, "Tara is sick. Come back. Come round back." Number one, who the fuck is going to speak about themselves in first person, especially if they've never done that before? That was a very suspicious fucking text. And you know what? Guess what? She does. She fucking went back out around and went to this fucking ghetto, this fucking like dank ass, creepy ass building alone, not calling the cops. You dumb bitch. Like, my God. And you try to tell me she didn't hear them gunshots? Like, he shot that gun like 20 times. She didn't hear any of those gunshots. She's thinking, oh, well, seems legit. Like, it's nutty, bro. It's fucking nutty. And they kept going back to the corpse. They kept going, like the corpse of the girl that he cut in half. You can tell that they were really like proud of that special effect because like they kept like going back to that shot, which I'm just like, is that really fucking necessary? I don't really know. Then you have this crazy lady that's like insane and she's like a homeless lady that is like convinced that she has a daughter that's a baby doll, like it's a doll. And she runs into Art the Clown, and to try to appeal to him to make him not kill her, she like treated him like a baby. She said, "Mama's here." And then he starts sucking his thumb and start acting like a baby. It was really fucking weird. But then we find out later that he like still killed her anyway and like scalped her and cut her boobs off and put her boobs on him. And then he got naked and started acting like a lady because then he put her scalped hair on his head and her severed boobs on his body, and like now he's acting like a lady and he's naked. It was very weird, man. It was fucking weird. Vicky finally does something smart. Like, so basically he catches up to her and like puts a plastic over her head to try to kill her. And that's the first smart thing she does, was poke a hole in the plastic so it didn't kill her. That was the first fucking smart thing she did. She eventually finds the pest control guy. The pest control guy actually eventually got attacked by Art the Clown with a hammer. He hit him in the head with a hammer. But when he came to, he finds the girl Vicky and they're trying to get out of there. Unfortunately, Art the Clown is not human and catches up with them and brutally fucking stomps the guy's face in. Finally, like Vicky is finally able to like get out of this dank ass building into this like garage where there's and here's the thing, like the way she gets out is the door is chained, so she squeezes through because she's skinny, and Art the Clown can't get through. So she's just like, yeah, yeah. Instead of running away at this point, knowing that he can't get through, she stays there and antagonizes him, and then he disappears, and she goes and appears inside. And look, this like whole scene lasts like 2 minutes. She had 2 minutes to leave, to get the fuck out of there, but she stayed there. And then Arthur Clown somehow goes outside, gets into a car, and runs over her in the car, and seeming doesn't kill her, but he hurts the fuck out of her. Then Art the Clown comes out and starts eating her face. He starts eating her face while she's still alive. Um, and then the cops come, and he shoots himself in the head after partially eating her face. And then it's revealed that she is the deformed girl from the beginning of the movie. Which, okay, solid reveal, but actually that's not even revealed until like 10 more minutes later. Like we realize at that moment when he's eating her face, oh, she's the deformed girl. But then they actually do like an explicit reveal later on, which I'm like, that was unnecessary. And then the last thing we see is all of the corpses go to the morgue, including Art the Clown, who shot himself in the head. And it's revealed that I guess like some supernatural shit starts happening in the morgue, where like the lights start flashing, and Art the Clown is like looking at the guy, he's looking at the coroner, and then he like jumps at him and tries to kill him. Cause then we actually just and at that point we just straight up realize Art the Clown is a demon. He's not real, he's not a human, he's a fucking monster, and he can't die. All in all, what's the verdict, guys? I thought this movie was extremely entertaining. It was very, very dumb. Every character in this movie is dumb as shit, but it's very gory. The practical effects are really, really good. And it's just a really entertaining movie, just watching all of this like crazy weird shit, these crazy weird kills happen. And this like super fucking goofy ass character who's like actually pretty scary. I thought it was a good time. I recommend watching it. I will be watching the sequel, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. With that, that is my vlog, y'all. Thank you for watching.